this episode because today I'm going to be building the Skyline and filling out some of the buildings in the city. So, what I want to start with today is that for this Skyline, I'm going for a medium to large style Skyline with 2 or 3 really prominent buildings and some other skyscrapers, but not too many buildings because in the New England cities, especially Providence, Worcester, there aren't really too many skyscrapers. There's a few towers that exceed, like 150 meters or whatever, but very few. And I know in Worcester, like the tallest building is only about 300 feet, and same thing in Springfield, and a little taller in Providence and Hartford, but they're not the tallest buildings. So I want to get buildings that are not as tall, but maybe more detailed in some way, because although the Skyline won't be as tall as like a Californian city like San Francisco or Los Angeles, the Skyline, I want it to be prominent because when you're driving by on the interstates by these New England cities, you can see them and they stick out and the buildings are prominent, and the residents of these cities and towns, they remember and know what their buildings look like. One thing you may notice is this city is subject to change. I may have explained that in the last episode, but nothing in this city is 100% final. No building being placed. Where buildings are placed, what buildings they are all subject to change because my taste change, my opinion changes. I think some stuff looks good, some stuff doesn't, but if you see stuff that's different, just know it's because it is. It's not, nothing that I build is set in stone, and I really don't like to go back on what I've built, but at the same time, I'm constantly evolving the map in the city to look as good as possible because, that's my objective with this series. Just for the first episode, I didn't realize my audio that I was recording with was really shoddy. I hope that it's better in the new episodes, and I'm going to keep trying to slowly upgrade my setup so that I sound good and I sound not too stuffy. I don't sound like I'm in like a tunnel. It's all about optimizing my setup to the point where I can make videos in a healthy way and make videos consistently, work hard, and pump out a series like in a good amount of time and get a video out. Since this video is a little longer, I want to break down a few things. First, I'm not sure if I put the intro in or not, but if the intro did make it for this video, I'm very excited because it's a classic song. It's the theme song to Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's kind of just got the vibe that I'm going for with this New England city and Liberty City in GTA. I'm certainly taking aspects from that, so I'm glad to use such a good track. I think it goes good with the train. I don't have the graphics fully down, and I'm hoping this that the intro can evolve with the more detail the city has, but we'll see what happens with that. I like having such a catchy song, something that you'll connotate with the series is a nice song to start you off every episode, so that's just another piece. I want all my videos to be of the highest quality that I can produce myself, so whatever I can do to make that possible, I will. I'm beginning with this stuff, so I'm not really too comfortable videoing my voice or any of that stuff yet, so that kind of confidence will come in the future. So right now I'm mostly just talking about what I want to talk about in the videos and just keeping it to that. But so for this Skyline, I want also a good mix of eras because, for the most part, unless it's, Abu Dhabi or newer areas that are built up recently, cities are not all built in one time period. So there's buildings, of course, built throughout decades, generations. So I wanted to get a good mix of modern skyscrapers and kind of old looking ones, just like in any city, of course. One thing that I will not really be working on, which needs to be a staple in this city, is lots. And today is the building episode, so I wanted to really just focus on putting buildings in. So there's a lot of empty spots, places, and places that don't really look right that will be filled in with something eventually. But the buildings that I have installed, I want to use so that I know them, I have memory of them, and then it's easy for me to go back and edit. This is my first full detailed city, so I've done detailed cities in the past, but there's been points where it's strayed away from that, and I really want to make that an emphasis of this city. So I'm going to try to make it look as good as possible, as realistic as possible. So that's my main objective. I'm using a lot of mods which eliminate the base gameplay of the game, like I have no fires, police, garbage, pollution, power, water. It's very limited gameplay features because the aim of this series is more to make a realistic city, and some of the gameplay features I just don't think would be necessary for a city like this. But even so, I will try to fit it in some ways, like the public transportation, of course, but even that's subject to get removed. The city now has life. I'm glad to say that the city of Byerwood has life. There's cars driving around now, there's buildings, there's apartments, there's residential, there's commercial, people walking, and that really helps when you're building. It's tough in the beginning of a city because your cities most likely don't have a lot of life or are very boring cities, but once you start getting the buildings down and the skyscrapers especially, it makes it a lot more lively, and it makes it a lot funner to play on the map. It also begins to decrease your frames per second, which is sad. I don't want these videos to be too long, but I felt a video like the Skyline video should be long. It should have everything it needs to have because it's an important episode in the series. I think when creating the identity of your city, one of the most important things besides the terrain, of course, is the skyline of your city. To create a prominent skyline, I wanted a good mix of buildings, like I said before, but I also wanted airspace, and I wanted open air so that there weren't buildings being concealed behind other buildings. One thing about the New England cities is they're not to the scale of New York or Los Angeles, where buildings are eclipsing others. I think you can really see the full size and scope of architecture and skyscrapers in these New England cities because there's a lot more airspace in them, which is nice. This train station is, I'm basing this train station that I'll begin working on, especially in the next episode, off of Union Station in Worcester, Massachusetts, because it's the train station of Worcester, Mass, and it's a very prominent building. It's not really in the skyline, it's more outside of it. It's still a very prominent building within the skyline of the city, which I thought had to be portrayed somehow within this city, and this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm using the Goodwin or Godwin Square buildings with some general office buildings and kind of meshing it all together, but what the final result is a pretty good looking building in my opinion. So I'm not sure, you can be the judge of it. I kind of like it, so I'm gonna leave it for now. So yeah, this is pretty much all I can really say about the Skyline so far. I think we're making great progress, and I think that the city is coming along step by step, and I think this was a big step to get a lot of these buildings down because without the core skyline and core buildings of the city, it's kind of hard to build out from there. You need that centered place, so I think that was a good place to start. But we're 2 episodes in. I kind of like where this is going. I hope that these time lapses are nice to watch and they come out good and they show the progress, because that's my main goal with this, is to really just archive my playthroughs of City Skylines and my creations of cities from beginning to end, so with some commentary thrown in. So thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.